John here with Art of the Supplement, and I wanted to invite you to our brand new Facebook group, Art of the Supplement Nation. We've assembled the industry's top experts to bring you the best answers to all your insurance restoration questions. It's on Facebook, not MySpace. Delete that. You don't need MySpace anymore. Check it out. Facebook.
Met Matt and Andrew several years ago. Just really awesome guys as far as giving the information, really making the industry better. They care about the contractors. They care about, really how the whole process works. And then they're very honest as far as when we have a claim, to give us their honest opinion as far as whether or not we want to pursue that or not. And then once they, receive that claim, they really do a great job at following up with the homeowners, making sure that they're representing our company, because at the end of the day, our client is trusting us to put them in touch with the best in the industry.
What's up, everybody? Meteorologist Sean here, and we are talking about these storms that are going to be moving into the Oklahoma City area now. Let me just update the radar where we're at this exact moment. Interesting developments with this storm. We had a pretty good looking storm backed by Kingfisher, and now it looks like we have some updrafts kind of all fighting with each other to see what is exactly going to happen as we pull into Oklahoma City here. I know over in Piedmont we had one of our hail trace employees reporting a little larger than pea-size hail, and the thing that is getting my attention a little bit is we keep alternating these low CCs. So we had a little bomb of CCs there south of Northwest Expressway, and now, whoops, oh geez, I clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry guys. And now it looks like as we're getting towards the west side of Oklahoma City, what exactly is going to happen here? We got the storm trying to blow up. So I think we're still fighting to see where that updraft is going to be focused. I mean, there's a ton of lift with this thing as we're moving into Oklahoma City. So I wouldn't be surprised, based on the history of some of the storms that have happened, how quickly they go from kind of middling little storms to dropping tennis ball size hail. So that's one of the main reasons we went live here. We have a storm also moving into Guthrie, Oklahoma, a little bit to the north. This one had a history of tennis ball size hail, and this is moving directly into Guthrie right now. The hail sizes aren't looking as impressive as it did once before. However, the rotation's looking pretty significant over by Guthrie. Some low-level rotation there. And right now, right near downtown Guthrie, I'm sure there's probably a pretty solid wall cloud with that. So, so that's what we're looking at here in Oklahoma City. A whole bunch of storms trying to go. Another one just went up here over by to the west of Stillwater. That just got warned for quarter-size hail. Hang on, let me just... dang it. I don't have this set up. That sucks. I would say I need my mouse a little bit better here. Looks like here the storm by Piedmont now is looking a little more interesting. This is literally just west of the Kilpatrick Turnpike, so it is very close to Oklahoma City. So if this thing strengthens at all, it's immediately gonna impact people, like instantaneously impact a lot of people. So we're watching it super carefully. Asking about Tulsa, everything is to your west still. It's a little messy there right now. We did see we got some golf ball size hail. I see a report buried in the warnings here to the west of Bartlesville. I don't know if I don't know what Bartlesville just got right now. I've had Oklahoma City's radar open, seeing strong winds already beginning to start up by Coffeyville, 64 miles an hour. Further to the north into even Illinois. I was mapping a storm here by Washburn that's had up to golf ball size hail with that. And then we also have this one storm that's kind of meandering towards Chicago that I got to keep an eye on as well. So the main focus right now is the Oklahoma City area. This is where we have what we call the tail end Charlie, which is the last storm in the line. And I just noticed this most recent frame here, a lowering of CCs right to the west of where the Kilpatrick Turnpike turns. See, somebody says Springfield and Joplin's still in play. I think you guys are probably switching over more to a wind risk now. This thing is turning into a line very fast to the north, so we'll see if that actually ends up producing hail, or if it becomes more of a wind risk. The tricky part of it is we keep alternating between where it looks like it's starting to line out, and then we have the storms kind of break apart, or so it's a little challenging to say with certainty with anything right now as everything is developing. This storm here just to the west of Oklahoma City. So we're in Piedmont. We're literally between Piedmont and northwest OKC. This storm looks like it's trying to blow up based off of the tops of the clouds here. Yeah, so you can tell this shows the tops of the thunderstorm clouds, and the hotter the colors get, the taller they get, and this thing's almost at 50,000 feet. And it's still trying to grow up in size a little bit. So we're seeing some hail here right along Northwest Expressway, over by the Surrey Hills Boulevard, this little housing unit here. I think this is probably technically Piedmont. And now moving into Northwest OKC, right by where the Kilpatrick Turnpike takes a turn, going to the in western OKC. So this is moving into Oklahoma City right now with a questionable hail size and a questionable strength. So we'll see if this thing keeps blowing up here. Over by Guthrie, we're seeing it looks like pretty large hail just to the northeast of downtown. Again, this looks like we could be, let's see, we'll go look at a couple other products. There's an explosive lift with these things, so it's very quickly moving. So, let's see, hang on. Somebody's saying on SOS. Okay. Since this is moving to Oklahoma City and everyone's working from home, it really looks like I have to keep an eye on our hail trace chat. Got a lot of verification from our various homes with these things if they can actually really get going here. Yeah, this storm, like right by Piedmont, right moving into Oklahoma City, northwest OKC. Again, if you are on the loop of the Kilpatrick Turnpike turning from west to south and then over by Northwest Expressway, there's hail falling. The question is, how large is this hail going to be as the storm continues to try to just this thing is trying to develop over the city, and that's going to cause some headaches here as you get a storm trying to strengthen while it's moving through a very popular area. It's currently over ping pong ball size hail. I'm currently thinking probably around quarter size hail at the moment, as this thing is gonna pretty much move down Northwest Expressway towards downtown Oklahoma City. So again, we'll see as this thing continues to try to strengthen. Seems to be alternating between strengthening and kind of meandering around. Somebody asked about DFW tonight. It's really, DFW is going to come down to how things are going across Oklahoma. If we continue to see supercells staying kind of isolated as they move to the south, that would give DFW a much better chance. If it all turns into a line kind of like this, then maybe not so much. For Tulsa, okay, we're starting to see some storms trying to form out ahead of the main line here in Tulsa, so I think I might have to bring up Tulsa's radar as well. I'm going to switch off of central Illinois and checking back in on Guthrie. Whoops. Okay, no, I guess it's trying to tell me to look at Tulsa here. Just north of downtown OKC. We are far northwestern Oklahoma City, so this is going to be over by Council Road and by Rockwell, over by the county line, where the Kilpatrick northwestern Oklahoma City, where the Kilpatrick Turnpike goes from west to east and turns to south. So it's the loop that goes around Oklahoma City. And we'll just see. We'll see how the storm continues to develop. Can we see the tops? Do we got an update on that yet? No, that one comes every 5 minutes. Yeah, there's definitely some. The storm is looking messy right now. But when they were looking messy before, they were dropping big hail. And we see that lower CC. You see where we get those greens and yellows right now? That means there's going to be... Siri, shut up. There we go. It looks like... So you're seeing that hail along Northwest Expressway up to Kilpatrick Turnpike between the county line and like Rockwell. This is pretty close to where I lived a couple years ago. And... again, if this storm continues to on a strengthening path, it's going to head basically to downtown Oklahoma City and then down towards Moore. Down over by Guthrie, this storm is probably going to avoid a lot of the more densely populated metro areas. So this is on the far eastern reaches of Guthrie, maybe up to some golf ball size hail there, and that's moving south and east, probably towards Luther eventually. And yeah, so here in Oklahoma City, this is the storm, the most interesting storm. It's in the city, and it looks like it's trying to strengthen while it's in Oklahoma City. So we could see things starting out kind of weak and then quickly redeveloping themselves. And yeah, those echo tops are getting big. It's getting dark outside my window. So we'll see. We'll see if we can actually maybe get an impact over by my house. Switching over to the Tulsa radar. Let's check in on there. We have the line of storms up to the north of Tulsa. But more interestingly, we have a couple storms trying to form out ahead of the main complex. These are going to be your big time, your potential for hail. The storm right here, not even warned yet, to the west of Sapulpa. We'll see if this storm can quickly strengthen and move to the east. It's moving on a trajectory here where if it were to go severe and strengthen, it would move towards Jenks and Broken Arrow on the south side of Tulsa. A lot of areas that did not get impacted by the storm last week. It's definitely already dropping hail. Probably not quite severe hail yet. These things are developing very fast, so they're making hail very quickly. But it looks like right now, this is west of Sapulpa, just northwest of Kellyville. This storm is not warned quite yet. We'll see if this ends up. This would be your best bet for hail, this guy right here, and move in pretty much east. All this to the north, you're going to have sporadic hail in there. Bartlesville, you might have had some hail, but we're getting wind gusts already to 60 miles an hour, and we got a new warning now for Tulsa for 70-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So that's all for this complex in here. So this is looking like less likely for that really big hail, more likely for the winds as we're pointing to Tulsa, as it's turning into a rather complicated complex. What you want for Tulsa, if you want big hail, is this little guy to strengthen rapidly and stay out ahead of the line. So we'll see how that develops. I'm going to check back in on Oklahoma City now, see what this is doing here. Trying to figure out. These storms might just not want to consolidate into one updraft. So you're having multiple storms fighting for attention, and it might not figure itself out until we'll see where it gets. Hearing thunder outside my house here. But we're definitely seeing hail. We're seeing hail right along Northwest Expressway, west of Lake Hefner in northwest Oklahoma City. I'm actually going to check off of the chat here. I'm going to check on Radar Scope real quick, see if I can see any initial reports coming in. Oh, yeah, a bunch of them happen. I'm getting imping reports like crazy of pea to dime size hail falling in northwest Oklahoma City right now. So we'll see if it can actually strengthen a little bit more as we are moving to the city here. How's it looking for DFW tonight? DFW, it's all dependent upon how everything in Oklahoma reacts. If it's a line of storms by the time we get down to Dallas-Fort Worth, then probably not too much in the way of hail, a lot more wind. But if it's still staying pretty isolated like this, then we may actually have a higher chance for some big hail. Here in Oklahoma City, I don't know if the cap that was in place is kind of holding these guys back or something. There really isn't anything that should be stopping this thing from exploding. Yet, right now, I'm looking at this storm as it's moving pretty much over Lake Hefner now. And even looking out my own window, it's not looking super crazy. It's actually, I mean, we're getting reports of pea to dime size hail through MPing. Wouldn't be surprised if it gets up to some quarters maybe. But as it's riding down the Northwest Expressway, but this is definitely not the mega hail that could have been happening with this even just a few minutes ago. Here in Guthrie, I think there's probably some closer to golf ball size hail there. And far eastern reaches of Guthrie heading towards Meridian, there's a lot of nothing over here as this continues moving south and east. This was a pretty nasty storm before I had up to tennis ball size hail with that. So, I mean, we'll see. Again, there's still plenty of city left to work with. If this thing can kind of organize itself, and these storms have been explosively developing, so they either go up and end up dropping like tennis balls, or they kind of fall apart and that's game over, and we just kind of go, all right, well, we'll see what happened there. Okay. All right, Dreamweaver Spiders pour a ping pong ball size hail on Northwest Expressway. Okay, so M-Ping's a liar, and we were seeing a ping pong ball on Northwest Expressway. Likely this neighborhood over here. I don't know if this is Piedmont technically or Oklahoma City over by Surrey Hills Boulevard. That little housing development, that probably saw some ping pong ball size hail, and then probably up to quarter half dollar size hail if you continue along Northwest Expressway from about County Line Road to about probably Rockwell. And right now, as the storm is moving towards May, and where Expressway and May interact, just south of Lake Hefner, this probably is sub-severe hail here right now. Is this storm trying to do a handoff in Yukon? So this is what we've been dealing with for the past, it's trying to hand off the storm over here to Yukon. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So we have this storm. This one's trying to petering out a little bit, but now we have a new storm trying to develop right over Yukon right now. And if I look at Echo Tops, so you kind of got to follow the orange on this. You can see where the new storm is, where that new updraft, that new explosive updraft is. You get quickly up to near 50,000 feet. That shows that these storms are explode. This storm's doing a handoff here over by Yukon. We'll see if this ends up being the dominant guy, because again, Yukon, it'd be moving south and east, so you're going from Yukon pretty much down to near the airport, and then eventually more Norman. So again, we're watching this here. The CCs are pretty low, so even though in the hail algorithm is saying not too much in the way of hail, these storms are going up so fast, and they have so much air to work with, and the air is so favorable for hail that they're very efficient hail producers. So even if they don't look that great, they're dropping quarter to ping pong ball size hail right away. And the CC, there's a big CC bomb right here. So this storm might be trying to get its act together very fast. If that's the case, Yukon might be seeing some big hail very soon here, or right now. Looking a couple other things. I'll go back to that. Oh yeah, no, this updraft is crazy. So, DFW, you got a while to wait, man. It's gonna be hours. It's not gonna be till like 10 o'clock, and we will not honestly know whether or not DFW is going to get really big hail until it is probably these storms are crossing the Red River, because we're not going to know the storm mode until we're down there. If it is a big squall line, it's not going to be making big hail. So that's checking on there. Dang, 65 mile per hour wind gusts in Guthrie, huh? That's a pretty strong winds. All right, I'm gonna check back in on Tulsa real fast. Yeah, Marshall did get pounded. They got some big stuff. P-size and Yukon. Okay, yeah, that not super shocking. Okay, over here by Sapulpa. All right, so I'm seeing some low CCs with this little guy. This guy that's all alone north of Kellyville, moving towards Tulsa. Again, we'll see how this plays out. I'm seeing lower CCs. KDP, blah, blah, blah. Echo Tops. Yeah, so this storm, again, probably dropping some quarter to half dollar size hail here north of Kellyville. Not a lot going on people-wise over here. That looks like some farmland, but it's moving quickly towards Sand Springs and Sapulpa, and it would eventually move into South Tulsa, probably riding just south of I-40, or I-44, excuse me, if this thing can hold together or even strengthen a little bit as it's heading towards Tulsa. Everywhere else by Tulsa, we have a whole conglomerate of stuff here, a different wind and random little hail swaths. We got some strong winds here over by Ramona, and that's pushing towards Talala, and hail with this seems sporadic for now. So of course I may have cursed Tulsa. We'll see how this plays out in a second here. We're seeing more development even down by Stroud, all along I-44 really. So a lot popping up. We got a new warning now for Oklahoma City for ping pong ball size hail. So it's for this guy, probably for this guy over here by Yukon, this storm that's blowing up right now. This seems to be the new game in town, if it can keep getting itself together. I can't tell if this storm's getting undercut by a cold front or not. So we'll see. Walk us through Kansas. All right. Let me just finish checking on everything else here. It looks like Meridian, Oklahoma, you're getting some big hail now, probably up to golf ball size hail in Meridian. This guy has been an individual supercell all by itself this whole time, so I wouldn't be surprised if this has some bigger hail with it. Things are looking messy over by Oklahoma City. It's getting dark at my house. I got a window just right out there, so I keep looking out. Okay, Grove. Nothing in Grove right now. Grove's, you got a ways to go here for Grove. And it will likely be a squall line, so strong winds, minimal hail for Grove. A lot of this Joplin, Neosho, Grove, Afton, Miami, Baxter Springs, all this, probably strong winds with this. Already seeing a report of 70-mile-per-hour winds as this is turning into an angry squall line very quickly here, heading towards northeastern Oklahoma and parts of southwestern Missouri. Kansas, we've had a lot. I think a lot of this was pretty rural. You had the initiation of storms that explosively went up and had, it seems to be around a lot of quarter-size hail. The biggest report so far has been in Oklahoma over by, I believe, Marshall, where they had that tennis ball report. Guthrie just had 65-mile-per-hour winds, and now we just got a quarter report near Hefner Parkway in Britain. So I'm going to jump back to Oklahoma City. So that means we got quarter-size hail. Let's see, Hefner Parkway in Britain. That's over by where like Red Rock is at. So yeah, so this hail looks like it crossed Lake Hefner and then impacted where Red Rock Canyon Grill and Hefner Grill, like all those little restaurants there. So it probably impacted that, and the hail quickly probably got past Hefner Parkway and was no longer severe there. So again, you probably had that hail ranging from sub-severe to ping pong ball size, pretty much riding Northwest Expressway from west of the Kilpatrick Turnpike, and then over by places like Rockwell, Council, and then continuing moving to the south and to the east, where that ends up falling apart a little bit here. Still no rain at my house in West OKC. We'll see how much longer that lasts. Okay, we're getting the biggest hail marker now that we've seen in a while here by I-40 over by Yukon. CCs are pretty low in Yukon. They've been low in Yukon for a little while now. So I'm curious to see how much hail is actually falling this, how big this hail might be. This storm is really trying to develop. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is the tallest storm we've seen so far right here by Yukon. I mean, that's almost 50,000 foot tall storm. That is a big time storm, big time heights on the storm. These storms, if this blows up, what's going to do is going to go around my house, and I'm not going to see anything at my house. All right, let's see here. Yeah, this storm by Meridian seems like it's trying to strengthen itself more, and seeing some activity over by Stroud. That's trying to develop very quickly. Even some activity over to the east of Oklahoma City by Hara and Meeker. And then storm over by Stillwater here. This looks like it didn't really drop any severe hail, but it is warned for Stillwater. So I'm bouncing around here, guys. A lot of activity jumping around all over the place. A lot of storms forming all at once. And I'm trying to see. Okay. All right, we got an update here in Yukon. And notice how these CCs, the low CCs, are now starting to kind of spread from the north of I-40 in Yukon, all the way from I-40, all the way to the Kilpatrick Turnpike over by Overholser Drive. It's a lot easier to do this when it's the city I live in. And it looks like, man, it really looks like a lot of Yukon's getting hit with hail right now. I mean, I wouldn't put it past anybody to say that there's hail in most of the town of Yukon up to maybe ping pong ball size right now, especially along Overholser Drive at the cross street of like North Sarah Road. there could be some big hail coming here as this storm is exploding. Again, in far eastern Canadian County over by western. Oh, new warning here for ping pong ball size hail moving southwest. And this would be heading towards eventually Mustang, the airport, Moore, Norman, southwest OKC, like far southwest OKC. So, again, the storm, if you are in central Oklahoma City, you're in the village, you're in Nichols Hills, it's not, you're getting some heavy rain, but probably not a whole lot of hail. I think the more of the hail threat here is going to be, again, over by Yukon and to Bethany, and maybe eventually towards my house. We'll see. We'll see if we can get hail at my house. I keep looking out the window, seeing like it's getting there. Okay. Hang on 1 second, guy. Hang on. Okay. Sorry, I just had to jump back in there. Okay. Should head east into Tennessee. Yes. Yeah, I know. Tennessee. You guys get the big tornado, but you're not getting the hail. Alright, looking. Yeah, so looking at this storm here, things are getting messy in Oklahoma City, that's for sure. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a line before we even get to Norman. Storm by Meridian's looking really good. This is all by itself. Really low CCs, probably a lot of hail with this. Fortunately, it is not impacting too many folks. Again, here by Oklahoma City, I'm hearing thunder, and we're seeing those low CCs continuing in Yukon. Yukon specifically. It seems like it's just north of I-40 in Yukon. Seems like it keeps going here. So, jumping back over to the Tulsa area. Now, looks like our little storm that was watching to the north of Sapulpa is looking a little weaker. I think it's starting to die. The line here might be trying to organize a little better and take over. And if that's the case, Tulsa's going to see strong winds, but probably minimal in the way of hail. Looks like we're getting a strong area of wind that you can see the higher velocities to the east of Vera, so north of Collinsville, heading towards Oolaga. Some very strong winds heading that way, it looks like. So, what am I seeing here? Okay, Yukon's getting big hail. Alright, guys. Yeah, Yukon's getting big hail. I asked the chat to find some pictures. Here we go. That's in Yukon right now. So, alright, we're getting golf ball 2-inch hail in Yukon. So I'm gonna abandon Tulsa. I'm sorry, guys. We're getting big hail here in Yukon. So I figured the CCs were quite low, and that seems to be the case. We're getting 2-inch hail anywhere you see above my head in the greens and the yellows and blues. That's where you're seeing that large hail immediately. Again, these storms are just now happening, and I'm getting pictures sent in from the team. I just had to type it out to our text chat, and so pretty much everywhere here just south of I-40 in Yukon along, let me see here. Let me just grab a North Czech Hall Road, and then over by Southwest 3rd Street. There you go. You're getting that hail. Probably almost only hailing. Again, those low CCs here. Probably everywhere in these low CCs where you see those greens and blues. And, golf balls in Chicago right now. Oh, crap. I got to check in on Chicago real quick. That is the case. No, nothing. Chicago, nothing's warned in Chicago right now. As far as I know, there's nothing too crazy over there at the moment. But again, okay, Yukon, this is the focus here. Yukon, Oklahoma. So it's one of the suburbs just to the west of Oklahoma City here. We're going to be moving into far western reaches Oklahoma City very soon. Here's the airport. I can turn off the radar and you can see there's Will Rogers Airport, and the storm is moving generally south and west. It's developing south and west. So Mustang, you're going to start seeing hail in a second here. Pretty much the north sides of Mustang. All of Yukon, looks like all Yukon got hit with hail here, or if not all, the vast majority of Yukon. Storm formed pretty much over Yukon, and then clearly as it strengthened, as it continues to move south and east, I'm sure it started out small hail and now is getting much larger as the storm is strengthening, as it's heading towards Mustang in a second here. Is it hailing at my house? Oh, those are fat raindrops. Boo. I wanted hail. I wanted to have hail at my house. I wanted to show you guys live a live storm over by my house. Yeah, so western OKC here and over by Bethany, around where I'm living at, I see no hail falling right now. I'm just seeing heavy rain. So all of that hail, you guys can see it. Where you want to see those greens and yellows and blues showing up on radar on the right hand side of the screen above my head. I'll even highlight it for you guys here in yellow. That's where your hail core is currently at. So from Yukon to Mustang, and this is moving south and east towards the airport, and then eventually into Moore and into Norman in the coming minutes here. So let me quit that out. Okay. Yeah, so again, this is just south of I-40, along and south of I-40. We're now heading, this hail's heading into Mustang, and then it's going to be heading towards the airport. Will Rogers Airport is right here, right where my mouse is at, and then the hail is just to the northwest of that. So Mustang, Yukon, that's where you're seeing that hail right now, up to 2 inches in diameter. Thankfully, I just had to, I wanted to get got the weather team on chat here. Ask them, hey, can we find some pictures while this is going on, while I'm chatting with you guys. And the fact they were able to find pictures about 25 seconds after I asked them means that, yeah, we're definitely seeing some big hail. The storm is definitely blowing up now, dang it, over Yukon, now heading into Mustang, and then far southwestern sections of Oklahoma City. So here's your storm. Here's your hail core. It's moving to the south and east. So Mustang, the airport, far southwestern Oklahoma City, Moore, Newcastle, Norman, heading in this general direction. We got an update to the warning here. I'm sure it's up for tennis ball size hail now is the warning. So it's now warned for tennis ball size hail here for the storm in heading towards Mustang in Oklahoma City. 2-inch hail. Again, we saw that I showed the picture on the stream here just a minute ago, and again, up to 2 tennis ball size hail for the warning. And if we roll it back, I'm noticing an area of much lower CCs compared to the rest of the lower CCs. Let me bring up the pen and I'll just kind of highlight. If there is tennis balls with this storm, it's going to be likely in this area I highlight in the yellow here. If there's up to tennis ball size hail, it would be in this area where you're consistently seeing the blues and the greens. Oh, is that hail? Oh, it's hailing at my house, guys. Hang on. Yeah, it's hailing at my house. Hang on. I'm going to text the other members of my house. Oh, yeah, it's hailing at my house. Yo, Allie! Allie! Hang on. Okay. All right, sorry. I was calling out. It's hailing at my house right now, guys, so I'm trying to figure out what the size is at my residence, and I'm looking from my window. It looks primarily sub-severe at my house here in West OKC, but that's okay. I'm not in the big Sorry, I'm just kind of listening. Okay, so the hail here in West OKC, so I can kind of show you guys around where I'm living at. Yeah, they're little bit of lower CC, so my house is like right over here, and not too much really showing up for that. So it makes sense that there's not crazy hail. It's definitely hard. It's ripping up some leaves and bouncing around. So that means the bigger hail is likely going to be doing damage, and that's going to be here. Anyway, we're shifting back to what's going on. Here in the Mustang, you're seeing that hail again, where I highlighted possibly up to tennis ball size hail in Mustang, at least golf ball size hail. Now, yeah, update here in Mustang across North Check Hall Road over by Route 152, even as far east as North Sarah Road, and maybe even North Sarah Road, and continue moving south and east. All of Mustang's probably getting impacted now as this continues to move south and east. Probably going to see hail heading towards the airport very soon. This storm is probably really going to be the one taking over here. Heading towards the airport, towards Newcastle, Moore, Norman, that's down the line. Could see some big hail. Okay, I just got from someone I know in Yukon. There's a picture in Yukon of hail. I just got texted a second ago. Upside of having a MacBook Pro, I guess I can get stuff. So again, getting the hail here in Yukon and in Moore, not Moore, Mustang, and we'll be heading to Moore eventually. If you're just joining us, I know I'm just kind of jumping around. I was trying to see the hail size at my house. My house here in West OKC looked lightly subsevere. I asked to find out, to go check and make sure if there was anything, it'd be approaching quarter size hail, but it really looks like it's a subsevere. In West OKC, your big hail is going to be in Yukon and Mustang. So Yukon, the storm formed pretty much over them, had up to 2-inch hail. It's now moving into Mustang. CCs are still lower with this. And this hail, just from what I just saw at my house a few minutes ago, definitely it was hard hail. It was bouncing around. It was tearing some leaves off my tomato plants and off the trees as well. And that was with sub-severe hail. I just got confirmation that it was primarily dime size hail at my residence here in Oklahoma City in West OKC, but that I do not live in Mustang or Yukon, where we were getting confirmation of up to 2-inch hail there. Storm is still warned, I believe, for tennis balls. They're saying up to tennis ball size hail, likely to anticipate possible further strengthening. That hail core extending over a lot of the supercell. You can see it really kind of blowing up over the last few minutes. So if I roll the radar back to back when the storm first started, it was just basically a little shower here, and now it has since really blown up over Mustang and heading into very close to the airport. Airport is right here, right where my mouse is at, and continuing to move south and east. So over Mustang right now, could be seeing again that golf ball size hail, 2-inch size hail along Southwest 74th Street and by Route 152, and continuing to move to the south and to the east. This thing is exploding over Mustang and will continue moving towards Moore and Norman down the Rhine. So as I zoom out a little bit, storm that was over, we got a new storm trying to form over by Guthrie as well. That's interesting. A lot of Oklahoma City is getting a storm right now. Again, my house had primarily sub-severe hail, and then all right, we got a tornado warning over by Oolaga. I guess we got a couple tornado warnings. So I saw somebody, I think Michael Compton asked, check in on Tulsa, so I'm gonna check in, and for good reason. We got a couple tornado warnings. Storms are moving towards Tulsa, so we're gonna shift gears for just a minute. Don't worry, we'll go back to Oklahoma City in a couple minutes. The storm is pretty much impacting the same spot it's been for the last 15 minutes. So here in Tulsa, is that a debris ball? I'm kind of checking in. It looks like we're getting these little hooks. Okay, yeah, that looks okay. All right, I'm gonna add a couple panels to this, so don't fret. What I'm gonna do is below normal reflectivity. Here is your this is your velocity or wind speeds, and then above me is the CCs, and then below this it looks like we're that part's not super important, so we're gonna keep that away, kind of out of view for now. So here we're by Skiatook. Yeah, it looks like we could be seeing some bigger hail by along West C. Rogers Boulevard and Skiatook, or Skyatook. I've heard it both ways. So, from what I'm looking at here on radar, probably not as crazy. Probably $250 size hail. The algorithm's saying much larger than that, but in terms of visuals, it's not looking as good. Looks like we had that quarter size hail from that individual storm from before north of Kellyville. That looks like it's probably likely not making too much hail now as it's getting into Oakhurst. We have 2 tornado warnings in effect, and I'm nervous that they might be 2 confirmed tornadoes, 2 radar indicated tornadoes. So I'm seeing here, so this is just to the south and west of Oolaga. This is a tornado warning. You can see the velocity is very strong. Couplet here showing up, moving south and east pretty much along North Haven Road, intersecting with Corley Road. Let's go further down the line towards south 4140 Road, even further south than that, south 4150 Road, and this is heading towards Claremore, north sides of Claremore. Strong rotation, and I'm not like what I'm seeing on the CCs. I'm seeing lower CCs where there is that rotation. Usually that means that there's a debris ball, which would mean there's a tornado. It's not confirmed, I don't think, yet. Yeah, it's still radar indicated, but just from what I'm looking at on radar here, that's not a good sign. So definitely get in your safe spot. You hear those sirens going off in Claremore, especially if you are north of Route 20 in Claremore, get in your tornado shelter, your safe spot, lowest part of your house, whatever you have to protect yourself from a tornado, because again, I do not have ground confirmation from chasers or whatnot. Turn on News on 6 or Channel 2 or other ones from Tulsa that I can't think off the top of my head for that chaser information. Maybe see what Voncaster is looking at, but that's not looking good. This is definitely not good. Get in your safe spot now if you are just on the north sides of Claremore. And also, it looks like another possible debris ball here just to the north sides of Sand Springs. Again, where you see that CC ball, instead of it being a lot of CCs, the CCs are good at indicating just anything in the sky that isn't just rain. And unfortunately, that's also stuff being tossed around by a tornado. So here along West Overlook Drive, I think this is the north sides of Sand Springs. That's not good. That looks like a tornadic circulation moving to the south and to the east. We could be seeing Highway 97. If you're in along Highway 97 Sand Springs, if you're even further east than that, if you see the Gilcrease Expressway, if you're hearing sirens, get into your tornado safe place. We have 2 tornado warnings that, when I'm looking at it on radar here, are not good signs. When you get the couplet combined with low CCs, that usually means there might be something on the ground here. So again, they're both radar indicated. We don't have confirmed tornado warnings, so we haven't gotten visuals. If you are living in the Tulsa area and you're concerned that this is going to hit you, by all means put local news on. They got chasers out like crazy, and I'm kind of riding on what I'm seeing on radar, and that is, yeah, that's not good here. North side of Sand Springs. Yeah, those low CCs showing up here is that, I don't think that's hail. So you're in Sand Springs, get in your tornado shelter right now. Anywhere in Sand Springs and west sides of Tulsa, tornado shelter now. This looks like an ongoing situation. And then over by Claremore, same deal. You want to get into your tornado safe place, especially if you're, again, on north sides of Claremore, and then eventually crossing I-44 north of Claremore. It's going to be moving south and east, pretty much following the dead center of this tornado warning path. So Claremore, if you're not in your safe place now, get there. And then Justice, and then even further towards north side of Tiowa, and then Choto. And then hail-wise, looks like over by Sperry, there's a bit of a hail core as well. This is heading southeast towards Sperry and Turley, and then eventually Owasso. But the tornado warning, again, that is a big area of low CCs. That could be a debris ball that indicates that there might be a tornado on the ground. We haven't had a confirmed tornado warning issued yet, so hopefully it's nothing on the ground. But that little hook here, that is not a good sign. So, and it's Sand Springs, west side of Tulsa. Get into your safe place. Okay, I'm going to take a quick second. I'm going to switch back to Oklahoma City. I need to see what's going on here. Looks like we have a new storm really rapidly developing just to the south of Guthrie and the far northern reaches of Edmond, over by Arcadia. This is moving to the south and east. This looks like this is developing very fast. $1 to $half size hail with that, especially along South Douglas Boulevard and heading towards South Post Road, north of 2 miles north of Waterloo, and then off to the south and east over by Mustang. This storm continues to develop south. It looks like the hail might be really focusing along what highway is this? Come on, tell me. Come on. What is this? Sarah Road. Yeah, along Sarah Road, heading south and east. This is heading towards Newcastle, it looks like, with that hail possibly up to golf ball size as well. And then okay. Yeah, the airport. Over here by the airport, it looks like we got big hail out there. Airport. Yes, at the airport. Yeah, it looks like you probably got a blast of over $1 to $half size hail. It looks like back by Minco now, there is this whole thing's trying to explode into a line. So the hail size might be coming down a lot by the time we get to Norman here. The storm by Mustang really is not wanting to get to more. It keeps back building to the west. So Yukon and Mustang might be the center point here for our big hail. And then we also have this storm where its hail size looks like it's increasing in the far northeastern reaches of Edmond / far southwest eastern reaches of Guthrie. This new storm, this one's probably heading directly to Luther. So, okay, here we go. We got a couple of reports coming in. Dang, we got a baseball report. Okay, so we ended up having baseball size hail south of Yukon. So probably, likely, I'm going to guess right where I highlighted nope, I'm back in Tulsa. Back where I highlighted before. Oh no. Did I freeze? Did I break it? So where I have highlighted over the before with the hail. Nope. Keep looking at it through Tulsa. Come on. We mentioned there was baseball size hail there. So again, that potential, the hail size potential was there. So John, I'll send you a picture. Look over Will Rogers. Okay, so clearly Will Rogers must have had some big hail. So I'm going to check on that really fast. Here's Will Rogers Airport. And, oh, yeah, there was definitely a bit. There was quite a bit of lower CC. So I wouldn't be surprised if Will Rogers Airport, where like all those rental car companies and stuff, they probably got hit with some pretty big hail, probably up to golf ball size hail there at the Will Rogers Airport. Here in Mustang and Yukon. So this area just south of I-40. Look where those CCs were way lower, right? That's where you got that baseball size hail. And then it probably even extended as far south as parts of northern Mustang. Mustang probably got closer to that golf ball size hail. Right now I'm looking over by, let's see, let me zoom out here. By Tuttle and near Bridge Creek and Newcastle. Hail sizes might be coming down a little bit, though there is an area of very low CCs, so I might be eating those words in a second here. Oops, I didn't want to do that. But that just shows how this storm, the fact that these storms were so tall, they're very efficient hail producers. So again, that up to baseball size hail fell in Yukon. So that storm basically formed and almost immediately dropped baseball size hail. Currently, if there is any baseball size hail falling, it's falling over what looks to be more rural areas. So the storm is still slowly moving towards Newcastle. We'll see if it actually impacts Norman. I think things are going to stay just to your east for most of Norman. This storm over to the east of Guthrie is really starting to take off. I think there's probably going to be some big hail with this guy as well. Switching back to Tulsa. I know I'm shifting gears pretty hard, but got a couple things going on here. 2 tornado warnings still in effect. I'm checking back in. Last time I looked at this was not good looking for Sand Springs. That tornado warning continues. The rotation doesn't look as tight as it did before. This is north of Highway 64. There still is that area of lower CCs. Potential debris ball we will see. Whoa, okay. I'm getting a lot of NWS chat stuff in here. Okay. All right, so here's a picture from Yukon, guys. I know I'm shifting back and forth. Big hail. There's some big hail in Yukon. That is some real big hail. So, yeah, big time hail in Yukon and in Mustang in the Oklahoma City area. But back with here at Tulsa, looks like, all right, the lower CC bomb seems to have disappeared, so hopefully there is not any kind of tornadic activity right now. Tornado warning does continue. It is moving very close to Tulsa, but good news, it is not looking as intense as it once had. Looks like this little storm that was to the south got absorbed into this guy, and maybe that'll save Tulsa from getting impacted by a tornado right now. In terms of hail, I'm not seeing a lot of crazy hail, probably some quarter-size hail in Sperry, and maybe a tiny bit in Turley. Probably mostly sub-severe hail, that nickel to dime size hail, possibly even moving towards Owasso as well. The other tornado warned storm here over by Claremore, I do not see an area, a CC ball, a debris ball at all, so that's good. The rotation doesn't look as strong as it did before. Strong winds are definitely with this, especially in Sequoia and parts of Claremont. You probably just saw some very strong wind gusts as this continues to move to the south and east, crossing I-44 right now. Okay, they issued a new tornado warning, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. So their new tornado warning out for Sand Springs, moving southeast towards Tulsa, Jenks, Glenpool, and eventually Bixby. Right now, it's still favorable for a tornado, but I do not think there's anything on the ground at the moment. However, that doesn't change the fact that it is still very possible. Same with the storm over here by Claremore. It doesn't look like it's dropping a tornado right now. It looks like it might be going more outflow dominant. So it's strong winds pushing out away from the storm instead of making a tornado. But that can change very quickly in this situation. So again, if you hear the tornado sirens going off, just get in your tornado safe place. And if you feel more comfortable with nonstop coverage of this one specific area, I would definitely switch to your local news channel in the Tulsa region. So let me look at the update here. Yeah, hopefully we are not going to see any more tornadic activity. As these storms are moving into Tulsa, though, I'm not seeing a lot in the way of big hail at the moment. It really looks like a lot of heavy rain, and then definitely a strong gust of winds going to be moving into Tulsa here pretty soon, possibly upwards of 60 miles an hour as this continues pushing the south and east. Another area, very strong winds along crossing I-44 right now, right by Claremore. This storm is rocketing to the east. Further to the north, yeah, Joplin. Oh, man, I'm like falling behind on everything here, guys. Over by Joplin, we see look to 60 mile per hour winds. We had 70 mile per hour winds in southeast Kansas, and it looks like it pushed into the Joplin area with 62 mile per hour winds there. Looking over to Chicago, I know some folks were talking about Chicago. I've seen no evidence currently of any severe hail itself. There was some hail in some other areas. Looks like it's mostly a line across a good chunk of Missouri now, and then all these reports starting to kind of trickle in across Yukon, where you get that 2-inch report, that baseball report, 2.25-inch report, a ping pong ball report northeast of Mustang. So that probably means you got ping pong, the golf ball size hail close to the airport as well, as the storm continues to move south and east. And I think the hail core may stay to the west of the majority of Moore and Norman. Just got $50 report just 6 miles east of Mustang. So this hail core managing to just skirt the westernmost sections of the Oklahoma City metro. So we have this storm now. Again, North Arcadia looks like this is dropping a pretty large hail, probably up to golf ball size hail. And then things are starting to get kind of messy here in Mustang, as it looks like the storm has lost the dominant updraft, and now back by Pocasset is where that bigger hail seems to be happening. I'm probably up to baseball size hail there as well. And this continues to move to the south and to the east. So maybe Chickasha, you might be down the pipeline a little bit here. Newcastle, I wouldn't put it past you to get a $quarter to $half size hail in Newcastle coming up. More in Norman, you're getting some heavy rain, probably some thunder and lightning, but I do not think you're going to see too much in the way of really big hail unless something changes drastically in the next few minutes, which is possible. This seems to be just continually evolving. And then we even had this storm over by Arcadia that's kind of blown up quite a bit as well. Oh, yeah, over here by Stillwater. I didn't even see this. Stillwater may have been impacted with some hail here while we were talking about some other stuff, guys. Just on far southern reaches of Stillwater over by Perkins, looks like we're seeing probably some big hail as well. Look at those lower CCs just above my head. This could be possibly up to that golf ball to 2-inch hail as well, right along South Perkins Road that goes north-south from Stillwater to Perkins. So jumping back to Tulsa now, we have multiple tornado warnings, and now that's a hail algorithm, but I don't think that's even making hail at the moment. But here I'm looking over by Sand Springs in Tulsa. It's tornado warned, yes, but I'm not seeing that tight rotation that I was seeing earlier, especially the scary looking lower CCs that would indicate a debris ball like I was seeing earlier on the north sides of Sand Springs. But here in Oakhurst, and if you are along the Arkansas River in Tulsa and Jenks, you need to get into your tornado safe place. And here in Claremore, I think the tornado risk is starting to kind of go down a little bit, maybe just south of Route 20, heading towards Choteau and Pryor, and eventually Locust Grove. These areas, yeah, get in your tornado safe place, but I think it's going to be more of a straight line wind threat, especially along I-44 here to the west of Adair. Look at the bow on the radar here. This really looks like we could be seeing some very strong winds starting to develop. Again, this was going to transition from a hail risk to a very strong wind risk. It looks like we're starting to see this. Okay, somebody said sirens in Tulsa, 244 and 44. Tornado on ground in Tulsa at Refinery. Okay, Paul, yes. I mean, if you got visual of that, again, local news. I do not have local news on right now. I don't have access to storm chasers, unfortunately. I'm unable to communicate with Derek chasing with KOCO, and even then he is in, I think, Stillwater or Luther or something. So tune your local news with that if there is a tornado ongoing. I haven't seen a confirmed tornado warning yet, but if you're seeing that visual on the news, again, that's why you got to get into your tornado safe place. This storm that is by Tulsa has its best chance of creating a tornado if it hasn't already. So again, that's going to be over by Oakhurst, West Tulsa, anywhere west of the Arkansas River. So Jenks, West Tulsa, Oakhurst, Sapulpa, all of that, get in your tornado safe place. This thing is capable of producing a tornado, and with the nature of these storms, can produce one pretty much at any time with very little warning. So it's definitely a reason why you need to check that out. Here over by to the east of Claremore, again, that tornado warning continues, and we have a new tornado. Why do you have a tornado warning this? That's kind of so. I don't know why they must have tornado warned this because of the little inflow notch here. There could be a very quick spin up tornado to the east of Foyle, heading towards I-44 and Adair. So again, if you're hearing your sirens go off, you get that tornado warning, you get that alert on your phone, get in your tornado safe place. These things can spin up very quickly here across the Tulsa region. So I want to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to look at everything else that has been going on. Not too much going on in Illinois or Missouri at the moment. Down to the south in Texas. Okay, looks like we had some golf ball size hail to the southwest of Henderson, Texas, and that's far eastern Texas. DFW gonna wait a little while, guys. It's nothing till later. The way these storms are going, though, looks like the dry line might be trying to fire, so we could see isolated storms into Dallas, but it's gonna be much later. It's 6:30 right now. You're not gonna see anything until at least 10 o'clock. So you got some hours to go before this impacts there. The most significant hail has definitely been in Yukon and Mustangs. Baseball size hail confirmed with that, and it looks like the potential for some tornadoes here moving into the Tulsa region. I'm gonna jump back over to Oklahoma City for the moment, check in on that. Is that a okay? Yeah, south of Stillwater. So let me go back. Okay, over here between Stillwater and Perkins, we're seeing got a reported quarter size hail. Again, I wouldn't be surprised that up to golf ball size hail with how fast these storms have been forming. And then this is moving to the south and east. This is going to head, probably split the difference between Perkins and Cushing, and then continue to head south and east eventually towards Stroud. We have this other storm riding the Oklahoma County, Logan County border with probably quarter to ping pong ball size hail there as well, eventually heading into Luther in the next 20 minutes or so. And then Oklahoma City itself, I think, pretty much done. So I think the hail ended up really focusing in on one area here by Yukon and Mustang, and now we have this storm moving towards Newcastle, where we had a confirmation of $half size hail, likely still making that $half size hail, and this is going to probably stay just to the west of Moore and Norman as it continues to move south and southeast towards Newcastle, where I-44 kind of starts going off to the west. Pocasset, you guys got a big hailstorm last week. It looks like you're about to get another one right now, man. You're probably going to see that really big hail yet again, probably over 2 inches in diameter based off of the history of today. There you go. You got that warned for 2 inches. This is heading like straight for Chickasha. So we'll see if this can continue down Grady County and strengthen. It might impact Chickasha, a decent sized town here just outside Oklahoma City, with some pretty big hail if it continues to move south and not keep unzipping towards Anadarko. So we'll see how this evolves here in the coming 20 minutes or so. Back over to Tulsa, things are getting complicated. So we see a lot of warnings up right now. Here in Claremore, you're still under a tornado warning, but if you are in the town of Claremore, I can say that your tornado threat has passed. This tornado warning will update, and it will pull away from Claremore. So if you are in Claremore, you're concerned about that tornado risk. The tornado risk is much further to the east now, well to the east, east of south 4230 road, and just north of east 520 road. Yeah, this is looking a little more like it in terms of the potential for a tornado. This could spin up at any time here, just to the west of Pryor. So again, your tornado safe place in Pryor as this continues to move to the southeast. But in Claremore, you are in the clear for tornadoes. Over here by Adair, you have very strong gusty winds. I don't know if there's going to be a tornado threat with this one, but it is definitely making strong winds and continuing pushing off to the east-southeast. Right now, if there's the core of where that circulation is just crossed I-44, it'll be crossing highway, route, what is this? Route 69, I want to say? Highway 69? Come on. Highlight it for me. Yeah, Highway 69, south of Adair. That's where your chance for that tornadic circulation is. It would be rain wrapped if anything's in there. You will not be able to see this if there is a tornado in here. Doesn't indicate there is one now, but the potential is definitely there. And then further to the south here, across the to just to the west of Pryor, this definitely has the potential to have a tornado with it imminently. This is looking this hook looks very intense here. Looks likely that we could be seeing a tornado very soon. So if you're in the south side of Pryor, you need to make sure you are in your tornado safe place. And this is heading towards Locust Grove and Salina as well. North sides of Choteau, you need to get in your tornado safe place. Now this really is looking likely that we will see a tornado happen with this imminently if it hasn't already. So In Tulsa specifically, I know these tornado warnings continue. I'm not seeing anything to indicate a tornado. There's definitely strong winds occurring. Looks like a supercell. Well, maybe over here. Possibly right. If there is a tornado, it'd be right along the Arkansas River, continuing pushing to south and east. Getting strong winds. We're already getting a report of 60-mile-per-hour winds. Definitely strong winds pushing through Tulsa right now. And possibly a hail core trying to form. We'll see about that in the next frame. But in Tulsa right now, you're getting those strong winds up to 60 miles an hour across what looks to be a pretty good section of the city, especially closer to the Missouri River that you're at, or Missouri-Arkansas River that you're at. The higher the wind chances probably are. Tornado potential in the Tulsa area, it'd be closer to Jenks. Right now, you want to focus in on the southwestern section of the storm. You zoom out, you can see where it comes together right in here where my mouse is located in the top left panel on the screen of my radar. That is your best chance for seeing the potential for tornadoes. That's going to be in the northern section of Jenks along South 4th West Avenue, pushing southwest. So the center of Jenks is going to be next here. Getting your tornado safe place there. That's where your core of that rotation is going to be. The majority of Tulsa and Broken Arrow, your tornado risks are low, but that wind risk is very high. Again, at least 60 miles per hour pushing through the majority of this storm, pushing south and eastward as this thing is trying. It looks like it's strengthening over Tulsa right now and pushing pretty much pivoting along the Arkansas River to the south and to the west. So it's now south. The probably core of the storm is now south, core of the winds anyway, probably south of I-44 and pushing south towards, again, Jenks and south side of Tulsa with winds upwards of 60 miles an hour. And that tornado warning, there's definitely a couplet in there, kind of in the mess here by Jenks. So that tornado warning is still warranted. Definitely go into your tornado safe place if you haven't already. Tune into your local TV channel in Tulsa if you're wanting more specific coverage as well. Claremore, your tornado warning has been canceled. Like I had mentioned, your tornado threat has now since ended. We've seen some quarter-size hail. I see in Collinsville, some dime-size hail here on the east side of Owasso. With this that has moved through, wouldn't be surprised to see some more dime-size hail across a good chunk of Tulsa. Looking at, is this an updated radar frame? Yeah, updated radar frame. We see, looks like lower CC, possibly some hail along Okmulgee Beeline, and pretty much right where I-44 crosses over the Arkansas River, that part of Tulsa. This looks like we could be seeing some quarter to $half size hail there currently with this storm, and that tornado threat maximized over by Jenks. No tornado. I don't see anything confirmed would be indicating a tornado is occurring at this exact second, at least when this image was taken. But again, I'm sure that you've got tower cams and chasers out on this in Tulsa, so your local news channel will do much better at indicating that there is anything on the ground with this. But I'm looking at here on radar, that potential is definitely there, but it'd be a quick spin up tornado potential with that. The other tornado warnings here, Pryor and Adair is definitely getting smacked with some strong winds right now. I think the tornado warning for Adair, I think that tornado potential is a little bit lower here over by Pryor, west of Pryor, wrapped up quite a bit. Wouldn't it be? It's still thankfully only radar confirmed, but the potential is definitely still there for a tornado here by south side of Pryor and possibly towards Choteau. So those are the two storms I think have the best chance of tornadic activity at the moment. Do we get another radar update? No, not quite yet. So the hail size. So the hail indicator is increasing here as we're moving into Tulsa. So we might actually, or moving through Tulsa, so we might actually have a chance at some increasing hail sizes. Oh, dang, did my stream like freeze like a while ago? Go back here. I know I'm still live. Yeah, I'm still live. Okay, just come back live when it hits my house in Denton, says Andrew. What happened to that hail core that was south of Tulsa going towards Jenks and Bixby? So right now we have a hail core. Yeah, we got a hail core right now, guys, in Tulsa. So we have an area of rotation by Jenks. It's not looking as strong as it was before, thankfully, in Jenks. Again, I would still get your tornado safe place if you're in Jenks or just south of Jenks with the way this storm is. If you're hearing those sirens, probably better safe than sorry. In terms of hail, I think it looks like, hang on, I'm going to grab another. I'm going to turn off that for a second and go back. Okay. Based on live analysis here, I think right along I-44 in Tulsa, west of South Yale, it looks like we're seeing some hail. So this is probably the only area in Tulsa that you're going to be seeing hail that's possibly severe. I don't think anything too crazy. I mean, again, you can see the CCs are a little bit lower on here. It's a little harder to see, especially if I zoom in. All the roads kind of cover it up. But it looks like possibly some $quarter to $half size hail from 64 down to I-44, possibly even further south to South 71st Street in Tulsa. Possibly some $quarter to $half size hail there, as this hail core seems to be trying to strengthen a little bit as we're moving into further south into Tulsa, and then eventually towards Broken Arrow here. And then that tornado warning still continues primarily for the city of Jenks. Here in Pryor, that tornado threat's looking a little less scary looking. If there was anything, it might have lifted already, but Pryor definitely just got smacked with some very strong winds, probably upwards over 60 miles an hour. Adair, the same thing for you. Strong winds there. So strong winds. These tornado warnings continue. Tornado warning here for Tulsa. Golf ball size hail, backed by numerous golf ball size hail between Perkins and Stillwater. Does not surprise me when we were talking about that a minute ago. I'm going to let did we get a radar update? Yeah, we did. So this latest radar update here, I'm watching this super carefully here, guys, in Tulsa, just east of the Arkansas River, west of Highway 64, and around I-44 west of Yale. There could be increasing hail sizes with this. Again, I'm saying $quarter $half size hail. I'm seeing the hail trace employees that are living in the Tulsa area. Holy crap, that's a big hailstone. So I guess this is what you're seeing if you live in Broken Arrow. Yeah, that's a scary looking storm there. Strong winds. Again, winds probably upwards of 60 miles an hour, and hail sizes might be increasing a little bit here in Tulsa. Again, south of 64 along I-44, east of the Arkansas River, and west of South Yale. And this is continuing moving south and east. Again, I don't think anything crazy. Maybe $quarter to $half size hail in there with the winds, and still pushing south and east through Tulsa. So over here by Pryor, very strong winds. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a gust close to 70 miles an hour just rip through Pryor just now. This is really starting to bow out. This could be, again, the start of that strong damaging wind potential, and this will be eventually heading towards Grove's up here. Eventually heading towards areas closer to like Arkansas, and even eventually down towards Tahlequah and Muskogee. So latest, we got another radar update. Again, I think, there could be some $quarter to $half size hail. If you zoom out a little bit, you can see those lower CCs a little bit here. So there is that potential that you have some larger hail. Nothing like what we were seeing in Yukon or in Mustang, Oklahoma, but here in Tulsa, a lot of areas that were impacted last week as well. So maybe a couple more hits here with some homes with that $quarter to $half size hail, and definitely some very hard hail as well based on what we've been seeing so far today. All right, in the meantime, I'm going to check back in to some other areas here as we have quite a bit of activity going on. Looks like we're now seeing quarter size hail near Newcastle. So I'm going to jump back over that storm in the Oklahoma City area. It looks like we're also seeing some storms getting close to Chickasha as well. So here in Newcastle, you're seeing that quarter size hail in Newcastle right along I-44 and over by Northwest 16th Street. I don't know where the casino's at. I think it's like right off the highway, right? Here in Newcastle, and then off to the west a little bit, you might be seeing some hail moving in now to Chickasha. Northern side of Chickasha might be seeing some hail. It's seeing a lot of low CCs heading to Chickasha right now. Let's see what this looks like. Jeez. Yeah. So yeah, big hail heading into Chickasha, west sides of Chickasha, like right where Highway 81 and Highway 62 meet. Potentially some very large hail with this again. And so right over my head, you can see those low CCs, those blues and greens, very similar to what we're seeing over by Yukon. So leads me to believe that we could be seeing rather large hail again. Again, we had that by Pocasset, and now it's moving into Chickasha imminently here. Still warm for 2-inch hail. Wouldn't put it past this thing to have hail closer to tennis ball size, just the way the history that the storms have had, and the way the storm looks on radar. So again, west sides of Chickasha. Notice how the reflectivity is really low here. So usually you want to see the pinks and the dark reds, but you see that low reflectivity and then the really low CCs. That indicates to me that we're likely seeing only hail falling. It's just large hail falling. So almost no rain mixing in, and it's just occasional large hail falling. And that's in Chickasha, like along West Idaho Avenue and over by... Man, my mouse is not wanting to read the street names today. West Idaho Avenue and West Iowa Avenue. Could be seeing that bigger hail potentially with that. See a quarter report by Amber. And this is that quarter report coming from way over here, right barely on the edge of the storm of this thing. So this continues moving south. Chickasha may be in for a rough time pretty here, especially the west sides of Chickasha. Could be seeing some pretty big hail very, very soon. Luther, that storm fell apart real quick. It's right quick, yeah. And over here by Newcastle, storm likely again to stay, managing to just keep itself to the west of Moore and Norman. Really trying hard to not make a 5-star map in Oklahoma City right now. Okay, we got a 65 mile per hour, 65 to 75 mile per hour winds reported on 51st Street in Harvard. So very strong winds in the Tulsa area. Somebody threw on, dang, I missed that comment. I'm sorry, the last comment on there. They only stay on my screen for 30 seconds, and I only have one of the streams on my phone, so I do miss comments on occasion. But 75 mile per hour winds with this storm in Tulsa. Very strong winds near 51st and Harvard. So again, you have more than just a tornado threat to worry about. You have very strong straight line winds up to 75 miles an hour. That's going to do some damage, and possibly even wind tossing around some hail. Quarter size hail, 75 mile per hour winds is probably still going to do some damage. And I think we're seeing some quarter size hail over by still kind of riding along I-44, right when it makes that curve going back towards the north, where 44 and 64 intersect. And tornado threat, though, is looking pretty minimal now. I think they'll let this tornado warning expire over Jenks. I think most of Jenks is probably in the clear at this point. But that's strong winds. Again, gusts possibly up to confirmed between 65 and 75 miles an hour. That is no joke. And now we have a new warning here. It's going to extend all the way to Muskogee and Okmulgee. Quarter size hail and 60 mile an hour winds. They're getting pretty lazy with their warnings. Jared asked, heard golf ball report in Stillwater. I do not know if it was in Stillwater specifically. Somebody asked about how about Missouri. Let me roll it back. Okay, there's tennis ball. Yeah, so tennis ball size hail in Pocasset. That's going to be heading to Chickasha right now. Stillwater's, the golf ball report was south of Stillwater. I'll have to go back and look and see if they actually got golf balls in Stillwater itself. I imagine we'd be seeing the reports coming in for that. Strong winds as well. I don't have the power to have a million radars up. I'm just kind of sticking to 2 here. And 70 mile per hour winds now over by Carytown. 60 miles per hour in Jasper itself. That's strong winds. This whole thing, very strong winds. So 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. That's rocketing towards Springfield. So Springfield, Missouri, likely not going to see too much in the way of hail, but you're going to see that strong wind, 60 to 70 miles per hour, probably pretty soon here. Yeah, this thing's rocketing east, so you'll probably see that before about 7:15 in the evening. Over here by St. Louis, we are seeing primarily small hail. This is a marginally severe warned area. We haven't seen any crazy wind with this, so I wouldn't really see too much this. Nothing to really talk about here in St. Louis. Further to the north, nothing to talk about in Illinois. Things lined out pretty fast, so the hail potential was pretty minimal. So I'm going to check back into the Oklahoma. Let me see here. Hang on. Is that a quarter report? Yes, quarter reports at both 36th and Lewis and 51st and Harvard. So that means that we are seeing quarter-size hail with up to 75-mile-per-hour winds in Tulsa. So that means size doesn't matter as much with 75-mile-per-hour winds and hard hail. Quarter-size hail is going to be doing some damage. So again, that quarter to $half size hail mixing with those very strong winds is probably making this a little bit more severe-looking storm in Tulsa than what the sizes may be telling you. Checking back into the storm that's heading into Chickasha right now, impacting Chickasha currently, we are seeing it's pretty easy to tell where you have those greens and blues. Again, right over my head on the right side, the CCs are lighting up like a Christmas tree. Probably seeing that tennis ball size hail right along Highway 81. It's pretty much following along Highway 81 here, and it's going to be moving in the Chickasha very, very, very soon. We're probably going to get another radar update in about right now. And yeah, northwestern sides of Chickasha right along Old Highway 62 West and North 18th Street, potentially up to some tennis ball size hail here. It looks like Chickasha is going to take a direct hit from this thing. Good chunk of the city of Chickasha may see close to tennis ball size hail imminently as this thing continues moving basically south-southeast. We've had tennis ball size hail in Pecasset, second time in like 2 weeks they've seen really big hail. It's really bad luck for that little town. But it looks like Chickasha is going to take a much bigger hit than what happened last week. Here in Newcastle, looks like the hail core is trying to strengthen a little bit in Newcastle itself, so maybe end up seeing some bigger hail in Blanchard, maybe even over by Goldsby as this continues moving south and east. Again, gonna just barely miss Norman as it misses it off to the west. So Newcastle being impacted with that, and Chickasha being impacted with the big hail here. And let's see, Cushing's probably seeing maybe some near quarter size hail there. And is this storm by Luther trying to re-strengthen? Man, they're all trying to spin. It's crazy. All right, I'm going to switch back to Tulsa now. Whoop. I tried to switch back to Tulsa. If my computer lets me to switch back to Tulsa, we'll switch back to Tulsa here. So, again, we've had in Tulsa those strong winds, confirmed wind gusts up to 75 miles an hour, and then confirming that quarter-size hail also was falling. So that's falling in conjunction with that strong wind. So 75-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail, maybe still some quarter-size hail just to the east of Mingo Valley Expressway and to east 145th Avenue. And then this looks like the storm's impacting parts of Broken Arrow now, but it looks like the hail sizes are much lower in Broken Arrow. But you're getting a burst of probably pretty strong winds across Broken Arrow. I know a lot of you folks, if you know Brandon lives over here, so I might get a report from him pretty soon if his grill blew across his yard again. So, and this continues to move to the south and to the east. Thankfully, the tornado warning has been allowed to expire, so there's no tornado warning in the Tulsa Metro right now. Still tornadoes over by tornado warning by Choteau and over by Adair. But if you look at where my mouse is right here in the lower left-hand corner, look at all that red and not really too much of the greens and the reds meeting together, making a little couplet. That's a good sign. That makes me think this is turning to a straight line wind event instead of being a tornado event. So straight line winds, yes, this could be, winds upwards of 70 miles an hour, but that's better than seeing tornadoes impacting the area. So probably very strong straight line winds going extending in an arc from Salina down to Choteau, and then possibly over by Maisie pretty soon. And then we also have looks like that hail threat's kind of disappearing in Tulsa now, but we had those strong winds. Look like that's also continuing here, possibly 65 mile an hour winds in Broken Arrow as it continues moving to the south and to the east. CC, man, that's a real CC reflection over there. Probably a lot of melting or something going on. Yeah, what is this over by Bristow? Keep an eye on this over by Kellyville and Bristow. This looks like a new storm trying to become a supercell on its own as it keeps moving to the south and to the east. I'm going to check back in on Chickasha with this storm, and yeah, Chickasha, west sides of Chickasha is being impacted now with very large hail. Look at the CCs on this. It's probably the best looking CC drop we've had so far today, guys. Pretty consistently green and even some blues in here. That's probably quite a bit of large hail falling. I'm checking on my other parameters here, and probably almost exclusively hail falling out of this giant storm. It's up over 50,000 feet tall and dropping a lot of big hail. Again, probably tennis ball, maybe even baseball size hail on the west sides of Chickasha here along South 18th Street and over by West Iowa Avenue. And this continues to move to the south and to the east. So southeast, gonna cross over I-44 in the next 5 to 6 minutes, moving through Chickasha. And so a good chunk of the west side of town is going to probably get absolutely annihilated by this thing as it keeps moving south and east. And this seems to be our tail end Charlie storm. So this might be the one that could be a long track hail producer if nothing else forms off to its west. Here in Newcastle, again, might be a little burst, a little bit bigger hail, maybe $50, maybe ping pong ball size hail right along North Veterans Memorial Highway heading towards Blanchard. Again, this is not as populated as other areas. Again, just barely going to miss Norman here off to the west. So, again, the biggest storm, I think, right now in terms of hail in Oklahoma at the moment, it's going to be in Chickasha, where you're seeing that probably up to baseball size hail falling. Again, another intersection, South 19th Street and over by West Texas Avenue. Again, this is pretty much moving south-southeastward, so it's going to hit a good chunk of the city of Chickasha, probably a solid half of it at least. Let's see what the warning's for. It's still just warned for 2-inch hail, but I'm going to say it's probably tennis ball, maybe up to baseball size hail with how good it's looking on radar right now. When will this data show up on the Hail Trace app? It should be updating pretty much real time, where there's a little bit of a delay, probably just a few minutes as we map these storms out, and then these swaths kind of show up. You just pretty much, if you bring it up on the app, I believe if you just refresh the map, it'll show the updates for you guys. You're watching on the website, you either got to refresh the page or it updates automatically. If somebody on Hail Trace is watching this, correct me if I'm wrong on here. I often don't watch the storms being mapped. I'm usually the one doing it, so I don't really know the confirmation too much. So another update here. The big hail is probably starting to get close to I-44 here, and right along Route 62 to pushing to south and east. I'm going to check in on my work chat for a second. My house approaching 1 inch. So in Broken Arrow, some hail probably close to 1 inch in diameter, probably mostly sub-severe. I'll hear something from Brandon if he gets bigger hail. Okay, so our hail core is getting a little brighter here heading in through Chickasha. So I think Chickasha, yeah, you're gonna take a direct hit with this guy. So this continues pushing south and east. We're gonna check back here to Tulsa. Okay, what did Brandon just say? Half inch. Okay, so Brandon was saying half-inch hail in his home in Broken Arrow. Not surprising. The storm looks like it is not making the hail it once did, but definitely some strong winds with it here. Gusting. Again, we had gusts up to 75 miles an hour with that quarter-size hail in parts of south and southwestern Tulsa. Otherwise, thankfully, the tornado threat has come down significantly. It's turning into a wind threat as we're ripping through the Tulsa metro here. And dang, baseball size hail over by Cushing. Holy cow. Reported by Broadcast Media. Oh, I wonder if Derek was over there. I don't know where Derek's at. I haven't talked to him all day. He's been on with KOCO. If you follow his page, shout out to that. And shout out to our sponsors as well, tagged in here. That is Merlin Law Group, C3 Group, and Artist Supplement and Balance Claims. I had them at the beginning of the stream. I know we've been kind of going nonstop. Haven't really had a chance to give a shout out to those sponsors. You can check them out in the description below. Thanks a lot to them for the periodic upgrades I'm able to do with these streams and able to make them possible for you guys. Yeah, we'll probably throw an ad on here in a couple minutes. Pretty short ad. Yeah, very strong winds now happening over Locust Grove, and this is going to continue pushing probably east along Highway 412. And these strong winds are probably going to really start ripping once we get to like over by Muskogee and Tahlequah here in the next hour or so. So we've had around quarter-size hail by Collinsville, quarter-size hail in Tulsa, quarter-size hail by Sapulpa. A couple tornado warnings still ongoing. I probably would allow these to expire because this is turning into a straight line wind event. Elsewhere that we've been looking here, straight line winds, Springfield, get ready. You're going to see some, yeah, there you go, tornado warned there. You're going to see some big winds. Cushing getting hammered to stop American oil dominance completely. How much does it cost to get rid of your current sponsors that are bad? I'm not going to answer that question. All right. So, heading into Springfield, yeah, we have a tornado warning. I don't have the main radar up for this one. I'm willing to bet it's probably because this storm is spinning like a top up here. So, it'd probably be, I'm going to guess without looking at it, over south of Golden City. But here, strong winds are going to be ripping towards Springfield very soon. You got a warning out for you guys now. Springfield, Missouri, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. It's had a history of making up to 70-mile-per-hour winds, and looks like some wind damage coming in Joplin. So, again, 60 to 70-mile-per-hour winds roaring towards Springfield. It'll probably be there in the next 15 minutes or so. Let's see, over here by Cushing, yeah, we had baseball size hail reported with that little storm. So these guys are dropping some giant hail, even if they look kind of janky on radar. You can see though, just that lower CC, that all that took was some baseball size hail. That's gonna be on the far western reaches of the town of Cushing, not within the center of town itself. New warning out for the storm by Luther, doesn't look too great. And then over here in Chickasha, oh my god, yeah, Chickasha is getting hammered with that hail. Look at all the greens and blues showing up on radar here. Hopefully the team is looking for pictures for Chickasha. I want to see if I can see any. What is this? Oh, it's in Morrison. Let's see. Let's see if I got any pics from the team. Get any from in there. Because I think this storm in Chickasha is dropping some pretty big hail here, guys. I've been saying it all along. The CCs have been very consistently low on this thing. The quantities of hail look high. And storm is tall as crap. So probably seeing, again, wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing hail sizes close to that baseball size. It's warm for golf balls. Again, we'll see. We'll see what I get out here. I'm seeing a hail spike on this thing. So, yeah, it's got to have some big hail across almost all of Chickasha. I-44 right now, over by, is this Highway 81? Yeah, by Highway 81, I-44, most of Chickasha, especially on the west sides, looks like we could have some pretty big hail with that. The storm that impacted Newcastle, not looking as great now as heading towards Goldsby and Noble. I think this, again, only had hail close to quarters, and I think that has since wound down. Had baseballs earlier in the Yukon area. It looks like we'll be seeing close to baseballs here over by Chickasha. Waiting for some confirmation with some photos with that. Okay, yeah, so about baseball size hail, or yeah, maybe close around tennis ball size hail. This is a pretty big hailstone here from just getting from Chickasha these initial photos as the storm is still ongoing. So we'll see how this continues to progress. But in terms of CCs, when you're seeing all that green and blue and yellow, that means you're seeing a lot of hail falling. Again, probably closer to that baseball size. So it's going to all be added to this map here. So we probably nickel and dime our way up to like a 4-star map or something here across the Oklahoma City area. Storm that gave... Yeah, is there new storms trying to refire here? Yeah, it looks like it. New storms trying to refire across the Oklahoma City area. Further to the east, I think a lot of this activity is now starting to push away from Tulsa. So strong winds, the hail up to quarter size. Okay, I'm seeing here by Kellyville maybe a bit of a hail core forming, maybe some quarter size hail along West 186th Street South and South 129th West Avenue in Kellyville and Mounds, as this is moving off to the south and east. Looks like this is trying to make some hail as we're starting to really turn into a bit of a squall line here, especially by Locust Grove. You guys just got smacked with some very strong winds, and this continues moving off to the east, roaring towards Kansas and then Siloam Springs. I'm going to... Can I bring up a third radar to track this thing heading towards Springfield here? Just give me a second. Let's see if my computer can handle this, guys. Yep. All right, cool. We do not want Atlanta. We want Springfield. All right, guys. So again, thanks for checking us out here. I'm going to, while this loads up, I'm going to throw on a quick 15-second ad for Merlin Law Group. So I'm still showing up in the corner, so don't worry. My mic is still on even, so this will be real quick. I'll be right back.
I've met with a lot of firms. I've had these situations before, but I haven't found anybody as good as Merlin and as dedicated to what they do. They're not here to make you happy. They're here to win.
All right, back, and we got the radar loaded up here. I'm going to switch. I'm just going to go straight to velocities and go down to 2 panels. We have no reason to really look for hail. There's probably almost no hail with this thing. And you can see right here, probably pretty clear where you're seeing those purples show up. That is where your really strong winds seem to be moving towards the Springfield area. So pretty much right along and north of I-44. You're going to probably see some strong winds upwards of 60 to 65 miles an hour. Estimated 60 mile per hour gust here as this is ripping to the east very quickly. It's going to be heading into Springfield very soon. Looks like Halltown, you're getting hit right now with those winds upwards of 60 miles an hour. In terms of tornado warning, I'm not seeing anything to warrant maintaining a tornado warning right now across Dade County in Missouri, but it's mostly just in case. And pushing to the east here, possibly getting again into Springfield very soon. It's gonna take a direct hit by the radar, so hopefully this doesn't knock the radar out. We had that happen in the Wichita radar earlier, so hopefully we can keep this thing alive as we're ripping to the east very fast. Looks like another storm along I-44 heading towards Waynesville, Missouri. That could actually have some hail with it. Yeah, it could have some quarter-size hail with it. But the main threat with this is going to be that strong straight-line winds heading into Springfield very soon. Again, and by about 7:15, this thing will be ripping across Springfield, Missouri. Back over to Chickasha here. Again, man, golly, the CCs are still so low with this thing. And looks like a lot of Chickasha, probably almost all of Chickasha has been hit, at least with quarter-size hail, as this continues pushing off to the south and to the east. Again, almost all of Chickasha impacted. We now have it heading towards Ninica with that large hail, at least golf ball size, heading towards you guys as the storm keeps pushing to the south. This looks like it is the tail end Charlie of this thing, so the farthest to the west storm, the one that's not turning into a bit of a line that seems to be trying to kind of maintain itself here. So this has a potential to keep dropping large hail as it keeps heading towards Rush Springs and eventually towards Duncan for like their 5th storm of the year. And over here by Goldsby, this storm looks like it's not making any more severe hail. Over by to south of Luther, heading towards Hera and towards Meeker. It looks like we have a small area here. This is in probably far northeastern sections of Hera, along East Britain and north 3310 Road. Probably some $1.25 to $1.5 size hail with that as well. As this is moving southeast towards Meeker and probably going to the north of Shawnee in a little bit. Biggest hail, again, definitely is going to be in the Chickasha area, moving now probably just right along I-44 to south and west of Chickasha. And that's, again, moving to the south and southeast pretty quickly here. Let's go back to the overview check in on any other reports that may have come in. We got another report of quarter-size hail at 209 East Avenue and 41st Street and 4 northeast of Broken Arrow. That's kind of surprising. Man, I can't believe they actually got quarter-size hail all the way over there. Let's check that out. Jumping back over to Tulsa. Nope, we don't want to see the warning. Let's go over here by Broken Arrow. Sorry about that. Did Derek wear his green pants chasing? I think he was saving his green pants for tomorrow, since he wasn't going to be chasing. He probably wanted to, because technically today was the 5-star map, so he can still wear it tomorrow and it still counts. Yeah, so I'm looking here and you can see, yeah, there's a little bit of quarter-size hail. You can kind of tell where the core is on the CCs. It's a little subtle, but you can see that up to quarter-size hail in this neighborhood here in Broken Arrow. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to switch it to a little bit longer of a commercial before I go back to Springfield. I need to drink a tiny bit of water. So I'm going to kill my... Actually, I don't need to kill my mic for a second. So shout out to another one of our sponsors, C3 Group. I'll be right back. I'll answer your questions in about 40 seconds. I just need to drink some water because after I sneeze, the throat's getting real dry. So I'll be right back.
Met Matt and Nanju several years ago. Just really awesome guys as far as giving the information, really making the industry better. They care about the contractors. They care about, really how the whole process works. And then they're very honest as far as when we have a claim to give us their honest opinion as far as whether or not we want to pursue that or not. And then once they, receive that claim, they really do a great job at following up with the homeowners, making sure that they're representing our company, because at the end of the day, our client is trusting us to put them in touch with the best in the industry.
All right, guys, I'm back, and I have a little bit better. My voice hopefully won't go out by the time I'm done with all this here, guys. I know we've had quite a bit of activity asking about if Oklahoma City will see storms refire. Let me double check the Oklahoma City radar, and I think seeing some showers trying to get its act together again, but I think the main storms that moved through earlier are going to kind of kill any sort of real redevelopment in Oklahoma City. I think the cold front's going to be pushing through here very soon, and that's going to be it. So Yukon, Mustang, and then the other storms over here by Chickasha, that's probably going to be what you have to work with for the Oklahoma City area for today. So we had that baseball-sized hail. It was very close. So we had Training Weather Spy saying golf ball-sized hail in Chickasha. I'm sure there was a lot of golf ball-sized hail in Chickasha. Jumping back over to the Springfield, Missouri area. What was that wind damage report? Tree into a house. That's no fun in Aurora. So again, very strong winds, probably wide encompassing strong winds impacting Republic, Missouri now. It'll be head to Brookline very soon. It'll be impacting Springfield again very, very soon. I said by about 7:15 this thing will be ripping across Springfield. I seem to be like right on target here. And again, with that wind upwards of over 60 miles an hour, hopefully this doesn't knock out the radar, because if it knocks out the radar, we're kind of in the dark here. So Springfield's the only one kind of nearby. And I think the majority of the city is going to get hit with some strong gusty winds very soon here. Off to the north and to the east, looks like possibly $250 size hail may be impacting Waynesville very soon with this little leading storm cell. Overview, we're looking at the storms moving towards St. Louis. They likely have, it's warm for quarters. I'm not seeing any quarter-size hail. I'm seeing a lot of little green LSR reports, so NOAA reports of P to dime-size hail. Chicago, any chance you guys have, that's over. Illinois, your hail chances are basically zero. This turned into a squall line very fast. Looks like the hail chances are really kind of leaning into the Chickasha area and points south. So that does open the door for Dallas. If you notice, we got a squall line here across the Tulsa area. Is it raining again? Huh. Is that... It's like raining in my house again. You got squall line here up by Tulsa and extending all the way north, but you get back by Oklahoma City, and it's just a couple isolated supercells. For folks in Dallas wanting to see big hail, that's what you want to see. You want to see not that much activity so you can see storms form later in Texas to move towards Dallas. So we could see 2 storms in one day across the Dallas area. We'll see. Again, you still got a ways to go. It's only 7 o'clock right now, and it's not going to be until about 10 o'clock. So I'll likely not be live for a while in between that. I'm not going to stay live for 3 straight more hours, especially once we get into some more rural areas here pretty soon. So I'm going to check back in here in the Oklahoma area. Storm has pretty much moved south of Chickasha. I think all of Chickasha has been impacted with large hail. Again, there was at least a golf ball report that came in. That was confirmed, reported. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw a picture sent to us on our chat that I sent to you guys of upwards of probably tennis ball size hail, and I wouldn't be surprised if some baseballs came in parts of Chickasha with how good that looked on radar. This storm over in Washington likely not making too much in the way of any hail anymore, as with this storm over by Hara and McLeod. This looks like the hail sizes are probably around 1 inch and starting to fall apart. And over here by Tulsa, we got some quarter size hail south of Sapulpa that I had mentioned before over by Mounds. That might continue to Winchester and Beggs here. Again, around quarter size hail. And then those strong winds are really starting to take over. A tornado warning, this thing, man. You can see when you're seeing on the velocities, all those yellows, that really means we're seeing some strong winds. This is going to probably just clip Tahlequah here. This is going to roar just into like the north part of Tahlequah. And thankfully, it looks like Muskogee and Fort Gibson and like Wagner, you're going to get strong winds, but probably not as strong as the winds heading towards the just north of Tahlequah and then eventually into Arkansas, where it may make it into the Fayetteville area with some pretty strong winds coming up in a little bit. So back here over by Springfield, we are hitting Springfield now. Got a wind gust, another wind gust up to 60 miles an hour. This is moving into Springfield, likely again winds probably between 60 and 65 miles an hour in spots based on what the reports most recently have come in. It's had a history of 70 miles per hour, but that was backed by Joplin. So I think by now, a little less intense, around 60 miles an hour, ripping basically west-east here, right about 7:15. Hopefully the radar doesn't get taken out by this storm and we can continue to watch it as it moves across. So we'll see how strong the storm is. If it's too strong, it knocks out the radar and we're completely in the dark. So this storm also along I-44 over by about to move into Pulaski County, Missouri. This could have some around quarter size hail, but for the most part, its most interesting note is that it's kind of on its own, but it won't make it to St. Louis or anything. So that's what we're seeing in Springfield. And otherwise, okay, no, that's still the tennis ball report. Another golf ball report I see in Chickasha. So I think this Chickasha storm looked like it was pretty good here, guys. So for the Oklahoma City area, you're seeing Portraits golf balls in Chickasha. So looks like the best storms were probably Yukon and Mustang, and then Chickasha here, and then some other areas just kind of scattered about within the Oklahoma City area. So Oklahoma City itself managing to sneak away from getting really big hail, and then but the towns that were immediately connecting to Oklahoma City still managed to get that big hail. So we're going to see if we got anything else. Let me see. Okay, yeah, looks like, very hard hail in Chickasha for sure, based on kind of what I'm popping in from pictures. I got another picture. So this one is from Mustang from earlier. That's a big boy. That is a big, hard tennis ball for sure. So definitely some big-time hail fell with that storm that ended impacting the Chickasha, the Mustang and Yukon area. And that was like the big thing why I went live in the first place as the storms were moving towards Oklahoma City, was how explosive the development was, how quickly we went from a storm that I was like, it might do something, to suddenly it was dropping baseballs. So that just showed the potential for today. So we had yeah, 60-mile-per-hour winds over by Pegs, Oklahoma. So that's that really strong winds blasting towards to the north of Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Let's see. Jumping back to checking out Tulsa area, looks like, oh no, wrong radar. Checking back on the Oklahoma City area, the storm is moving south of Chickasha. It's probably gonna head down towards Duncan eventually, and then we'll have to watch this and possibly come back later for the Dallas area, over by the Tulsa metro. We're seeing the storm is moving away from the majority of the metro, and the strong wind potential starting to really pick up for areas like Muskogee and Fort Gibson. You'll probably see winds maybe around 60 miles an hour. It's not as organized as it is off to the east here, just north of Tahlequah through Kansas, and eventually Siloam Springs, and then possibly even towards the Fayetteville, Arkansas area. So what is this report of? So more 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as we are impacting Springfield. You can see the strong velocities ripping across Springfield, and thankfully it looks like we are not going to lose our radar, which is good. So looks like winds north of West Chestnut Expressway are definitely over 60 miles an hour. So again, riding I-44 pretty clearly here, having quite a bit of strong winds as it's going to go across Springfield very fast. By the time it's probably about 7:30, it's going to be over with in terms of the severe weather across Springfield, and damage will be done with that. Again, 60 miles an hour are strong enough to knock down some tree branches, knock some power out, some power lines down. So that's what we're seeing there. Otherwise, I think we're going to probably have a bit of a break here before we see if anything can happen in the Dallas area later on this evening. So I know people ask about San Antonio and Houston. If anything happens in Houston, it'd be very, very, very late, possibly near daybreak. In San Antonio, you kind of need like a hop, skip, and a prayer to get anything out of this. So I think the majority of the chance, put your eggs in the Dallas basket for this one. Storms are looking a lot more isolated in central Oklahoma, so you pretty much got to look upstream to see what's going to happen downstream, and we could see storms like these pop up by Dallas later on this evening. So stay tuned to that. We will come back with anything crazy there. Large tree limbs down now. Getting those wind reports pretty fast here in the Springfield area, so we must be seeing some rather strong winds racing across. You saw large tree limbs down here by Brookline, and now that's moving to Springfield, so possibly the majority of the city is going to see some pretty widespread strong gusty winds up over 60 miles an hour. Again, moving across the city very fast, so by the time it's 7:30, it'll probably be through the majority of the city here as we have this widespread swath of around 60-mile-per-hour winds. Hail-wise, in terms of large population centers, I don't see any getting impacted with large hail right now. The one that impacted Chickasha is now in Agawam, moving towards Rush Springs. Pretty much same story, different location. And we'll see if the cap can break and we can get some storms to fire up over by Dallas a little bit later. And once you get that severe thunderstorm watch issue, that's when you know that storms will be more likely to come in there fairly soon. We got 60-mile-per-hour wind gust, 64 miles per hour at the airport. So, yeah, winds 60 to 65 miles an hour rushing across Springfield, Missouri right now. And, again, likely hitting almost the whole city. It's going to be pretty widespread. So, do you think this will be a gully washer? I mean, it could be quite a bit of rain a little bit later. We'll see. We'll see how the hail potential is. I'm not ruling out Dallas. I'll just put it that way. I'm not saying it's a shoe-in or anything, but I'm definitely not ruling them out just because of how storm mode is. If this was all a line already, then I'd say no. But the fact that we have a couple isolated supercells, and that's really about it, west of I-35, gives a better chance for the DFW Metroplex to see some hail later on this evening. And if not, probably be some pretty strong winds if this thing really takes off. But yeah, because this storm heading south all by itself, this tail end Charlie by Chickasha, this thing is really going to strengthen quite a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Duncan sees baseball-size hail down the line a little bit. Yeah, we're already almost halfway through Springfield now. We got the winds are now crossing over. Was this Highway 65? It's going to be next radar frame update. It'll be at like the Schoolcraft Freeway, and then after that, it'll probably be in Stratford. So yeah, this thing's ripping across whole city. Probably widespread 60 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts, likely across the majority of the city of Springfield, Missouri. And I expect more of this later on this evening. Quite a bit of strong winds, especially with this developing line here that impacted Tulsa. We already had up to 75 mile per hour winds, and it looks like it's going to rip to the south and east. Fort Smith, McAllister, all that might be seeing some big stuff. So we can keep that rolling, and with that, I think I may end up winding this down here, helping out. Definitely need to help out the team a little bit with everything that has been going on. A lot of activity, a lot of stuff spread out and about. If anything crazy does happen, we will come back live a little bit later for the Dallas area. But in the meantime, wait, hang on, is that near Shawnee? Let me check that real fast. Oh no, that's gonna say well north of Shawnee, so never mind. So if anything else happens, we will come back live pretty much here in Springfield. There's not really too much else I can say other than the whole city is going to see strong winds. If you haven't seen strong winds yet and you're watching from Springfield, you're going to very soon. And then after that, it's pretty much going to wind down. So thanks for watching, guys. I know it's been a wild ride here. See quite a bit of hail and wind and kind of jumping all over the place. And I don't know how long I've been live. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to our sponsors, as always, for making this all possible. And we will see you again a little bit later on here. Hopefully, do those hail dances, and we'll be back for some Dallas coverage maybe later on this evening. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in a little bit.
We are supplementers and estimators for general contractors. It relieves some of that administrative burden of keeping it organized, making sure all the data's together, and allows them to go back to selling and producing jobs and making more money every year.